There is a very dangerous type of email that creators often receive from influencer marketing agencies. If you haven't received one yet, I can virtually guarantee you will at some point in the future. I'm going to tell you why you have to be very careful when responding. And because I ran one of these agencies for 7 years, I'm going to show you what's actually happening behind the scenes, including the spreadsheets that you're being added to when you tell them your rates. So what do you do when you receive an email that looks like this? It seems harmless, right? They're saying, hey, we've got some deals for you with these awesome brands. All you have to do is tell us your pricing for a 60-second integration into one of your videos and what's your availability for the next 2 months. See, what most creators do at this point is jump for joy because they think they have a real-life certified brand deal in the bag, right? And they start planning what they're gonna do with that money. But slow down there. The unfortunate truth is that in all likelihood, this agency does not have the green light to move forward with you yet. They're just kicking the tires on you and your platforms. See, the important thing to realize is that this agency is almost certainly not the exclusive representative of the brand. There are likely lots of agencies vying for a percentage of the brand's advertising budget each month or on a particular campaign. So let's pretend that you just respond with your pricing for a 60-second integration like they asked. Here's what's gonna happen. The agency is gonna open up a spreadsheet like this. So this is what's called an RFP, or a request for proposal. This is a document that's sent to the agency either by the brand directly or more commonly, another agency that represents the brand. And you're probably thinking, hold on a minute, why are there multiple agencies in the mix here? Well, we'll come back to why this spreadsheet is important in a little bit, but in order to explain why there are multiple agencies involved, let me tell you a little story. See, I ran an influencer marketing agency for 7 years called Trending Family, and we had a very specific niche, which was that we worked with creators who were family friendly, and we developed a really good reputation amongst our brand clients. And so one of the interesting dynamics that exists within the advertising industry is that the larger a brand gets, the higher the likelihood that they outsource certain tactical aspects of their marketing strategy. Ford Motor Company, for example, spent $2.2 billion worldwide on advertising last year. Do you have any idea how hard it is and how much planning it requires to deploy $2.2 billion of capital? It's virtually impossible to do all that in-house at a brand. And so what most companies do is they hire what's called a media agency who runs point on their holistic marketing strategy. And they don't just hire a media agency, by the way. They likely have a public relations agency and a creative agency, maybe an agency that specializes in print or out-of-home advertising like billboards and bus benches. So circling back to my agency, Trending Family, we would receive an RFP from Ford's media agency saying, hey, Ford wants to work with influencers on this particular campaign, but you know what? We don't specialize in that. You do. So we're inviting you along with a bunch of other influencer agencies to enter the octagon. Well, not really, but basically they'd say, hey, put a proposal together for us, and we're going to move forward with whichever one we like best. So here's an example of a real RFP I got when I ran the agency. I redacted all the brand information for privacy purposes, but this was background info on a brand in the personal lending space. They gave info on the goals, which was funded loans. They talked about the types of creators they were hoping to partner with, demographics like ages, HHI, which is household income, audience split. So in this situation, they wanted a 50-50 male-female split, and the success metric, which was new approved loans. And so along with this background info, we received this spreadsheet. So remember that agency that reached out to you asking about your 60-second integration rate? Well, they're going to take that, add some sort of profit percentage, let's say 15 or 20% for managing the campaign, whatever. They'll calculate a conservative estimate of your average video views and add it into one of these rows. What you're probably noticing is that there are a lot of rows in this spreadsheet. It's not just you. So a very important takeaway is that you are almost always a commodity in situations like this. As long as you hit the type of creator and the audience demos, what they're looking at is how many views or downloads can you guarantee, and how much is it going to cost? And if you're too expensive, they're just going to go with the next creator that's getting around the same views that you are. You may think that you're totally different, and you might be, but on the surface, to them, it doesn't really matter. I know you're probably frustrated and really annoyed right now, but before it gets better, it's gonna get a little worse. Remember how I mentioned that all they care about is how many views or downloads you can guarantee? Well, that wasn't a figure of speech. A lot of these agencies will put clauses into the agreement stating, and I quote, "Publisher agrees to track each episode's views for a period of 45 days after show's release date and provide updated views at the end of each calendar month. Publisher agrees that in the event the ad under-delivers on contracted views by more than 10%, the publisher will provide an additional sponsorship placement at no cost, also called a make good, to the advertiser. This make good episode will be posted within 90 days of the original ad posting in the event, and in the event of under-delivery, however, the publisher reserves the option to not provide a make good, but will not receive any compensation for the ad in question." So translation, if you sign a contract guaranteeing that you'll get 10,000 views on the video and you get less than 9,000 in 45 days, well, guess what? You have to do another integration for free. And if you refuse, you don't get paid. And I'm sorry, but it gets worse. Not only will they also sometimes ask for category exclusivity, meaning that you can't work with their competitors for a certain time frame. They'll usually put a clause in there that says, this IO will also result in show level first right of refusal in the aforementioned category for 60 calendar days after the last aired ad. Should a competitive advertiser attempt to purchase ads in this show, advertiser will be notified and granted the opportunity to preempt the competitive buy for 10 business days upon confirmed receipt of notification. Translation, imagine you got an email from a competitive brand on day 54 of those 60 days. You are contractually obligated to go back to the original brand and tell them about this other opportunity with their competitor, and they don't have to get back to you for 10 business days. Do you think the new brand is gonna be cool waiting 10 business days for a response for you? No, they're not. So I don't know about you, but these types of deals are looking not great. And so you're probably thinking Justin's about to tell us to never, ever, ever take deals like this. But I'm actually not. See, one of the core things that I teach in my content and my coaching and my courses is that you have to look at your overall sponsorship strategy as a diversified stock portfolio. When it comes to working with brands, you are not going to make the same amount of money on every single deal. There may be a handful of deals throughout the year where, yeah, you make a bunch of money, but the majority of your deals will probably serve to keep the lights on an ongoing basis. So it's all about your mindset. As long as you know going into negotiations working with agencies like this, you have the context now of what's happening behind the scenes, rather than getting frustrated that, man, this brand is being so cheap, they're totally lowballing me. Well, it's because these campaigns are almost always conversion focused, and they have to hit their internal CPA or cost per acquisition success metrics. And it's totally reasonable to say to yourself, I am okay accepting a rate that's perhaps lower than I usually do because it's going to represent consistent business for me with these types of agencies. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. By the way, there are 5 very important questions that you need to ask every sponsor when you're negotiating with them so that they pay you more money. So if you want to know what those 5 questions are, watch this video.